Hey everybody! I am joined by Toomsy today.
Hello there.
We're doing something a bit different. Toomsy's never helped me with a build video before, so we thought we'd tackle a 3-inch design. We're going for sub 250, aren't we? But don't know if we're going to manage it. We'll find out at the end. What we've got is a diatone Roma frame, all in one piece at the bottom. Got some other pieces there as well. We'll get that put together. What I've done is I've taken this Nazgul and stripped it of all useful parts because the flight controller was knackered on it, and I'm going to try and reuse the motors. I'm going to try and reuse the ESC, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this frame. I might give it away when I hit 100 subscribers. Wouldn't that be good? We have got...
And I'll give you 100 subscribers.
You're already subscribed, mate, I'm afraid.
No.
But you can have the frame if you really want it.
No, we'll leave it to the... leave it to someone else.
Leave it to somebody who appreciates it.
Exactly.
We're sticking with the shark bite route. We've got the shark bite whoop board, this being the smallest and lightest board that HDZero does. So we'll be using that, and I haven't yet purchased a camera for it. So what I'm going to be doing is stealing the run cam off the front of this one, just for now, and if this all works and we get a successful drone, then I'll just buy a replacement camera for that drone.
How much do they cost?
They're 40 quid plus shipping.
But that's from the States?
No, I can get that in England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the flight controller is a Foxia F722, which I previously used on my Xylo and knackered up the camera on it. But the rest of the flight controller works fine. When I knackered it, I got the flight controller working, got the drone up and running, took it out to the field, tried the goggles and couldn't see nothing. So I came home and replaced the flight controller.
Right.
But because this system doesn't use the actual camera ports on the flight controller, it doesn't use that part of circuitry.
No.
It's got plenty of other UARTs that we can plug into.
Like
this
auxiliary type things.
Yeah. And a UART is kind of like a USB on a computer. It's just a serial port that you can plug whatever you need to into.
Yeah.
But obviously they're solder points, not plugs.
Yeah.
But that is what a UART is, and that's what we're going to be using. So we'll crack on and we'll make a start, and we'll come back when there's something interesting to show you. Okay, so we've got our ESC powered up, the capacitor on there. The capacitor is the one out of the Sharkbite VTX, because I don't want to blow another one, so I'm using the correct one for that. And hopefully we've got enough space there to actually... Yeah, that'd look lovely. That'd be a beautiful little job. But getting ahead of ourselves, let's get these motors on. The motors are there, so we don't need quite so much wire. So I'll screw all these motors on, and we'll cut them to length, solder them on, and see how we go. Okay, so motors are on. Wires are annoying. That's got to go that way around. And now you literally wire the motors.
So you've got 3 terminals on those corners?
Yep.
Oh, you've got 3, and you've got 3 cables.
3 cables,
that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And does it matter on the polarity, or is it?
No, what I'm going to do is wire these up as they are, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And when we turn it on for the first time, we'll test the motors are spinning. The right motor is the right, because that's motor 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that the right motor is spinning and the right direction. If it's not spinning the right direction, I want it to spin so the props are going inwards towards the centre like that.
Yeah, so clockwise.
And anti-clockwise, they're always spinning that way. You can have it either spinning either inwards or outwards, it doesn't really matter, but I prefer it spinning inwards. If one is spinning the wrong way, we just literally unsolder 2 of these wires, solder them on the other way round, and that will reverse the polarity, so the motor will spin the other way round.
Yeah.
Which is good. Well, here we are. All motors all soldered up. Yeah, we're good to go, I guess. Neaten that up with a bit of tape afterwards and get these standoffs on and get this ESC wired up to the flight controller. Which I'm going to have to change my soldering iron tip for that. So
Yeah.
let's flip that off. We'll change the tip and be back in a bit. Okay, so to connect the ESC to the flight controller, I've had to strip and tin all the wires. I'm just going to solder them on directly because I can never do the re-pinny thing into the other that. So I'm just not even going to bother. Plus Toomsy's egging me on to do soldering.
Yeah, that's it.
Because Toomsy is actually a master solderer.
Well,
So he's watching me do this and he's like, shouldn't have done it like that.
no, I mean the best way to do is obviously do it your way. It's just the easiest way, isn't it?
Oh, do you want to put your finger on them? There's some ideas.
Just can't put my finger on it.
Hey everybody! Now a couple of weeks ago, me and Toomsy started an endeavour to see if we could strip back a 5-inch. So I took my Nazgul5, stripped it all apart, taken off it, don't need that anymore, no good, and put them onto a smaller frame and see what we need to do to now make this a sub-250 drone. So here it is. Finished build. We only got part of the way through with Toomsy here, so I finished it off myself. I didn't bother filming most of it, but this is it. This is a flyable drone. So I'm gonna take it out and see what it flies like to start with. We'll see how heavy it is in a moment, and we'll go from there. We'll see what we've got to do to turn this 5-inch drone basically on a 3-inch body and see what we've got to cut back and replace to make this sub 250. Let's try the scales. Okay, so dry weight, you can see we're already over 250 grams, and if I were to use a normal battery that I normally use, which is one of them CNHL 1500, now we're up to 472 grams. So clearly, when we go for the sub 250 zone, we're not going to be able to use these batteries. I did purchase, on the off chance, that I thought, what's the smallest 4S battery that I can get? And I got these ones, these Beta FPV 450 milliamp hour. Now I think that even upgraded these motors, I mean these are 5-inch motors, they're going to suck far too much power. I'll be lucky if I get 30 seconds of flight out of this thing, but let's see what that puts it up to weight wise. Okay, so we're only 352 grams. Now if we can lose basically 102 grams, then we could fly that. Now these motors I know are 32 grams each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 128 grams that we can lose straight away, and just have to see how small amount of weight we can put back on in motors and see what else we can strip back. I mean, there's some fairly chunky heavy duty wire in there. This lovely thing on the back here is nice and secure. I'm sure Chris Rosser would love that, but it's not really needed. So, and also, I mean, these side protective panels, again, might only be 1 or 2 grams, but in this build, we need it. Absolutely need it. And just a quick rundown as well, what we've actually got in this build is the HDZero nano camera. So that's running 720 HD to the what's known as the whoop board. Just take this off. Yeah, so we've got whoop board on the top there, which is the TX5S.1. Then there's a Foxeer 722 flight controller and the iFlight Nazgul ESC, which is the Success ESC. And I'm running, at the moment, I'm running RSXR over F port. But I would like to replace that with Express LRS when I can get that figured out, but I haven't been able to figure it out yet. But for a flight test, we'll run with the receiver that we got, and then we'll have a look at seeing if even if changing the receiver can affect the weight as well, it might do. But there we go, that's a quick rundown. Diatone Roma F35, running on a 3-inch prop at the moment on massively ridiculous motors, but let's take it outside and see how it flies. Okay, so here we are, the test flight with the massively heavy Nazgul motors and the 1500 milliamp hour CNHL battery. So this quad is currently still weighing in at around 470 grams, massively above my 250 gram limit. But I just wanted to take a moment to say that earlier in the video I said that I was using the run cam off my other quad. But in between me building it with Toomsy and me finishing it off, HDZero actually released their own nano camera, which I snapped up as soon as I could get hold of it in UK stockists. So massive thank you to Hobby RC there for being able to supply me with a new camera. The day that I flew this, I actually flew a comparison between both quads, both cameras, and I actually got to say that this camera, the HDZero nano camera, actually is a lot nicer than the original run cam. I don't know how much influence Carl Zhao and HDZero had over run cam, whether they made specific requirements to make any adjustments, but it's definitely a lot better camera. The other one tended to have a sort of blue bias to it, but this one, I think the colours are a lot more neutral, and it's just a so much nicer flying experience. So yeah, I mean, I just love this camera. I wasn't expecting to put this camera on the quad to start with, but luck would have it that I managed to get one. And if you want to see the comparison video, then it is there on my channel. It's the last video that I did. I might put a link to it in the video description, but generally forget about that sort of thing, so go and find it if you like. Okay, so we're back on the bench. She flew really nicely with these motors and props. I was very careful landing it because I wasn't sure if the motors were too heavy for the frame. Didn't want it to snap an arm or anything, but no, she flew nicely. Now it's time to start stripping it back, seeing how much weight we can save. So we're going to get rid of these motors straight away. I've got more motors here. These ones are a lot smaller and lighter. These are 1404 motors, so they're really small in comparison. See the size difference there. These ones technically, I guess, are whoop motors. I would have gone for a 1407, giving me a little bit more height, giving me a bit more power, but these are only 8 gram motors and the 1407s were 13 gram motors, and I'm trying to save as much weight as possible. So I'm going to change these motors for these and, well, see how much more weight we have to strip off it. Get it down to 250. So I'm going to make a start on that. Okay, motors are off. We can put them to one side. Get these motors on, but that was 128 grams we've just taken off. We needed to lose 102 to use the light battery. But these, as I say, are 8 grams each, so we're still going to be putting 32 grams back on. So we might need to take a little bit more off. Now this lovely thing back here might need to go. That chunky wire there might have to go, and see what weight we're left with then. Okay, so I removed this whole chunk from the back of the quad. So now the quad is at this point really quite light. I'd say 99 grams of that. This weighed 24 grams. So we take that off, replace it with that, and that. That's 17 grams. In actual fact, by cutting off some little bits of wire there and taking off some of these washers from that little setup, which I don't need, if I 0, it's 12, 11, no, okay, 15 grams. So we've saved enough, a couple of grams there. Perfect. Get on and fit that. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Nice and secure. We've gone down to an XT30 there, which is going to save us a little bit of weight. Put some heat shrink on that. That's just going to get probably cable tied to there somehow. But I'll do these motors first, and I'll get on with that. Okay, one thing I've just noticed actually is that the mounting holes on here don't quite line up with the mounting holes on the quad. So I think I'm going to have to just drill them out slightly to at least get 2 screws in there. Okay, that did not do the trick. So what I've done is I've increased the size of the drill hole all the way through to the centre, and let's just hope that I can get a motor on like that. Well, it's not ideal, but it sort of works. I'm going to try another 3 times. Well, that is all 4 motors on. I can't say I really love it. It is a little bit dicey, only having two screws per motor, and one of the screws not really having a proper anchor. But it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. I'll get these wired up. Well, there we go. The motors are all soldered up, taped in place, and that is about as lightweight as I can make it. So we'll see what that is. Okay, like that. 156. Of that, 167. Few screws, 170. 177. 182 and 236, 235, 236 grams. I'll take that. That's brilliant. We managed to do it. We've got it there. That is a sub-250 drone. I'm going to just put this back together, finish it off, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Go and fly, I suppose. Nice. Just to prove that I'm not lying, that is everything. I've literally just picked the camera up, moved it over here so you can see 235, 236 grams. Just wavering in between with everything on there. And yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, so it's all made up, ready to fly-ish. Let's see how she does. 240 grams. I did put the little protective pieces back on here, but 239 grams. That is a result. Definitely happy with that. Let's go see how she flies. So after about a month of planning, I'm finally able to come out and test fly this little bad boy. So I'll come out to here. Nice little local church. Have a little look around. Okay, and here it is, the sub 250 gram build. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about the reason why I want a sub 250 build. Obviously in the United States, anything over 250 grams, they now have to register, and I can only imagine that that costs money, which is why people are trying to get that sub 250 gram build. Here in the UK, we do it for a different reason. The reason being, if this was over 250 grams, I wouldn't be allowed to fly near this building. We have different categories, A1, A2 and A3. Generally I fly in the A3 category, which means you have to stay 150 meters away from any sort of commercial buildings or residential buildings or anything like that. You've got to stay at least 50 meters away from people. Whereas with the sub 250 gram build, that falls into the A1 category, which is actually called flying over people. So you don't have those restrictions in place. You can fly near buildings, over people. You can't fly over crowds of people, and you still have to stay away from airfields and restricted airspace. But with a normal 5-inch weighing in at anything between 600 and 900 grams, flying around this church here, for example, would just be a civil offence. The Civil Aviation Authority wouldn't like it. But with a sub 250 gram drone, there are no restrictions, so I am quite within my rights to be flying here, and I shouldn't get any penalties for it. So that's why I did this whole build, just so that I could fly in places like this. So happy flying. Safe. I'd say that works quite nicely.